Good morning, LinkedIn community. My name is Vijay Krishna from Fourth Partner Energy. Today, we are not here to discuss serious topics on renewable energy and business, but we are here to discuss much more important topics on masters versus upskilling in our current job. Let me kick off this discussion by asking all our panelists to introduce themselves.
Hi, my name is Shankar from Marketing and Communication Departments.
Hi, I'm Jagrati from HR department.
Hi, I am Amol from Change Management Department.
So, Jawat, I think you have done masters, right?
Yes.
And you are doing an HR here.
Yes.
So, how do you see you have interviewed many people, right? You have done interviews from many people. So, what do you find whether masters is important or upskilling in job is important? Can you give your opinion?
I would say both together will be a great opportunity for everyone who enters the corporate world. In masters, what we learn is in upskilling in job opportunity we keep it in a practice. So masters in any of the specialization helps us understand what we are good at. In bachelor degrees, what happens is it is a general topic, general subjects which everyone will learn, and where we can understand, okay, I'm good at so and so part, and we can specialize our masters in MBA or IIMs anywhere in the current world, which also helps us to choose a right path towards the right direction in the corporate world.
Okay. Vijay, Jawat is talking about masters, right? And I think you have done CA in immediate after intermediate.
Right.
So, what do you think about upskilling mainly?
I beg to differ from Jagrati's point of view because I think given the transition that's happening in the job market, I believe companies are not judging candidates anymore on your number of degrees that you have, whether you have how many masters you have. I think people are giving importance to your experience and learning on the job versus the number of degrees you have. So it becomes more important as to how you showcase your capabilities and your experience in your previous job opportunities versus showing a degree from a premier institute.
Okay. So how will be the on-job training? It will be really useful for the candidate to improve his career-wise.
Absolutely. I think given the startup boom that's happening in India, if you join any one of these startups, you get to work not just in your domain. For example, in my case, not just on finance, accounts, and investment fields. Rather, you also get exposure on the commercial aspects. You also get exposure on the technical aspects. For example, in my role in change management, we get to work on investments, we get to work on investor relations, we get to work on equity and debt fundraise. We get to also look at the plant performance, which is a very technical side of the business that historically engineers have reserved to analyze that field.
Okay.
So once you get a full picture of the business, you become techno-commercial, and therefore you get to see the business the way business owners do. And I think that's much more valuable, which you may not get by doing a master's degree.
Okay. And also, I think that many of my friends say that master degree can change your mindset. So how can you justify this statement, Amol?
So, I believe, that statement that master degree change your mindset is correct from a perspective that when you enter that platform, right, you meet that kind of people, that kind of typically whenever we study any subject for any of my subject, you will get to solve the real cases which has happened in this corporate world. You need to apply your minds, you need to apply your skills, you need to brainstorm. There will be a group of people that will be formed for completing that task. And there will be many, so you come up with your solution, and on top of it, there will be many other groups that will be trying to solve the same solution, right? And they'll come up with their own individual solution. And all those individual solutions collectively get discussed, and then at end of it, your professor gives you the feedback, right? And so what happens in masters typically, at least in my case, I went for my masters after 3 or 4, 5 years of work experience, and my peers also were coming from different industries. Like in today's discussion, we are all from renewable energy background. But in MBA, you get to meet people from very different pockets of the industry, right? So they all bring in their expertise, their experience, and what they learn from their experience, and you get that peer learning also.
Okay.
And that platform, that alumni base. You keep on interacting with the people who are performing well in the industry. So from that mindset, and that sense of upskilling naturally comes to you when you are being put up in that kind of platform. So that do change your mindset in some sense.
Okay.
While I partially agree with Amol on the importance of case studies, participating in them, and then learning there, I think we should also emphasize on the importance of real life learning, because in a real job you interact with people to solve a problem, and I think it's more a people's problem than the problem that you're facing. So that people interaction, it will be missing out in a simulated environment, in a case study, in a master's course. Whereas on the job, you have to go convince people to solve that problem, and it's a much more challenging part than solving the real problem as such.
Okay.
I would partially disagree with Vijay's point and agree with Amol's point, because I'm also from the master's degree. Here, what usually happens is for one particular project or solution, we will have different ideas. We will learn from each and every individual, like we can think this way, we can work on this way, which helps us in maybe some point in future it will so at some point we can trigger this and we can work out this in this different way. And in thinking in different ways can only happen in the college days, because when it comes to corporate, there is one solution, one type of approach, maybe two to three, but not as many as we get in management.
While of course you will have different points of view on the table in a simulated environment, I think in a real life, when you're dealing with a complex problem, you have a lot of constraints. You have a money constraint to deal with the problem. You have a time constraint to deal with the problem. You have a strategic constraint to deal with the problem. And again, you have probably you're in a hierarchy, so you have to deal with the seniors and juniors when you're dealing with the problem. So there are more facets to that problem than what you see in a simulated environment, where you're given a case study and you're operating within that boundaries. Whereas in a real life, when you're solving the problem, say in a startup, or in our company, when you're solving the problem, when you're developing a solar or a wind or any other renewable energy project, there are many more problems that you need to deal with, which may not come up in a simulated case study that you will get in a master's course.
So yeah, I would also agree with Vijay's point. But Vijay is coming from the culture that has been cultivated and being, implemented across the organization by Vivek and Saif, So there are no boundaries altogether, and anyone get to, walk into anyone's shoes, and, they can help each other, and there is so much cross-departmental synergy within the organization, so that, that things gets inherited within all of the employees of Fourth Partner Energy, right? That anyone technical team might want to know about what corporate finance guy is doing, and a corporate finance guy would like to know, and they know about what the technical guy is doing.
Okay.
So from that sense, that people kind of management thing also comes in naturally, the way that organization has been built in.
Okay.
So but if you talk about a different industry for that matter, right? So say any manufacturing kind of a setup. So in that setup, there is a lot of bureaucratic and a hierarchical system. At least in my limited experience, that I have spoken to people, I know people. So in that, all those organization things doesn't work this way. It is the beauty of this organization, I would say, the way it has been working and how it has been managed. That we get to know each other, work so well within the various teams, within various departments. So I would, my thought would go that how the organization has been built.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I have a point here, like actually. So the one who is doing a master's degree will improve technical skills and also the theoretical skills and practical skills also through the projects and internships and workshops. And when he joins in a real organization, he can implement his knowledge to a better innovation of the organization, which will build the organization in a better way. So, like you said, organization hierarchy and all that we can learn while coming to the organization. But a guy can learn the masters and coming and implementing in the organization is better, right?
Yeah, I think on second thought, I do agree with Amol and Jagruti on that, because when you do a master's course and in a simulated environment, when you are going through and solving these case studies, you're being taught the best practices that the doyens of the management have already solved. So the industry experts would come and devise those case studies, and so they've already solved those problems in a much larger context. So therefore, they are teaching you those techniques, those frameworks that you can now go and implement in your next organization. So while on-the-job learning experience is great, you may not be equipped with the best practices that people have already figured it out. So when you go to a master's course and you solve those case studies in a group environment, you get to learn those best techniques, and then you can go and implement them in the.
And like we can always debate masters versus working on the job, but at least in my case, I have done my masters from IIM. So there is some stress test that you have to pass on. So and in real job, you are being put on certain situations where you have to get the job done in that stress scenario. So it is, for me, it is more of a fact check, for a candidate, that he has passed on, and at least he knows that this is the environment. He is prepared for that environment, and when he comes onto the, so MBA can take you to places, but at the end of the day, boss, it is your performance that will matter, and that will further decide your trajectory. It can take you to a place, but after that, it is your real performance that would matter. The tag of IIM or any prestigious MBA institute won't matter. No one is gonna look at where you have graduated. You can get to an interview, but after that, it is your work that will that will speak for you. Nothing an IIM degree or the skill set that you carry, that won't matter at that point of time.
In fact, the point that Amol just made, it was also showcased in this movie called Sully, which is an award-winning movie, where the pilot actually lands the plane on the Thames River because there's a issue with both the engines, and then the I think the air safety board then runs the simulation by experienced pilots, and they prove the point that you could have actually landed the plane in the nearest airport. And then in the climax, the pilot actually makes a point that in all those simulations, you've told the pilots that you're going to have an engine issue beforehand. Whereas when he actually took off the plane, he didn't know that he's going to have the issue. So he was under the stress, and he had to take the call at that moment and save some 300 souls on the board. So he landed it on the Thames River. So he said, if you remove it, that human element, and you run a fake simulation, then anybody can do anything. So I think when you actually go on the job, the stress that you face, along with all the constraints that you get in the job, I think that determines. But having said that, you should be equipped with certain best techniques and certain concepts that will help you complete the job.
And Vijay, I want to ask you a question, like, could you please give any 2 examples on upskilling? Because the reason for this question is we are discussing about only master from a long time. So many of the people or students cannot afford to do masters, or they do not have interest in doing masters for some odd. So if you give the 2 examples on upskilling, it will be really useful for them. Right?
Yeah, sure. I think people are evaluating the return on investment that that you get from doing masters, whether it's a 1 year or a 2 year course. In my case, after having completed my CA and working in a previous company, I joined here in change management team, where while my domain expertise is in finance and accounting and auditing, today I get to work on multiple other technical aspects of the business. For example, I evaluate how all our renewable energy plants are performing vis-a-vis the expected performance, and then I understand what are the reasons for shortfall or even better performance. This and how did it help me? Because then when I look at my financial statements and when I look at my revenue and how the plant has performed, I can tell both the management as well as board of directors, investors, all our lenders and stakeholders, not just the financial reasons, but also what is happening on the ground, which is at the plant, and how it is impacting those numbers. So on the job experience has given me the chance to look at the business as a whole and tie all the numbers together so that I can give a better picture to stakeholders.
So
I would say like a simple answer to your question can be from an upskilling perspective, at least for our organization and the industry where we are in, I would say there is irrespective of any department, there is a lot of data that any individual needs to handle on a day-to-day basis, right? So from a upscaling perspective, if the organizations carry out some session, how to smartly handle the data, and then the end of it, what data you're handling goes on in some or other form of a presentation to the respective stakeholders, right?
Okay.
So data handling, and we know people doesn't come with that skill, that niche skill, that any organization is a very very basic requirement for any organization. So something on data handling. And the other part, I would say, in our business there is a lot of outer world interaction that every other department would do. So something on communication, that not everyone here is very skilled in how to present to people, how to talk to people, how to present your organization as a whole to any other investor or any other third stakeholder, right? So these two basic skill sets, at least for me, is very must. And from upgrading perspective, there are host of things available in the market. You go to Upgrade or you go anywhere, at least from our industry, I think these two basic skill sets are very important, and for upgrading it would help a lot for any individual.
We had great points from all the panelists. So let us wrap this conversation, but I would request everyone to share your final views after sharing all these conflicting thoughts. I'll kick off that. I think after talking to Amol and Jagruti, who have done masters, and coming from a background where I haven't done masters, I realized that there is, I think one size doesn't fit all the solutions. I think each individual has to take that call in evaluating whether masters would achieve his objectives, or would upskilling in the current job would do the final work. And also, I think we're in the transition phase where society is moving on from just judging a candidate only on the number of degrees you have to giving importance on what you've learned. And also, I think people are giving more importance to not just experience in years, but also experience per year. So I think that has become more important given the number of startups that are coming and the growth that's happening in India. I would request other panelists to share their final views on the matter.
I would also, agree with Vijay. So we are, today India is living in the age of startup world, startup India, as we, boast of it. So I would say, MBA can take you to places, but real upskilling is really required. So, MBA, again, it depends on the individual goals, but real upskilling happens on the work, irrespective of whether you have done an MBA or not. And upskilling at every stage of life is required, at over and above MBA, upskilling is required. And even the disruptive kind of setup that India is working in, it allows you to take chances, take that risk, and do trial and errors, right? So I would say it really helps for any individual to keep on learning, upskilling themselves, right? And MBA would be, cherry on the toast, I would say.
And what I would say is, even though Masters is the highest qualification degree, it is not up to the mark degree, because every stage of our life we will keep learning and we have to upskill ourselves with courses or day-to-day challenges and everything. I would suggest take the right call with your suggestion.
So I want to say that many of the people are doing masters because they can get a better pay, and they didn't have any agenda to do masters. Just because they are joining in masters and think that I can get a higher pay job, it is not correct, right? Because I have an example who have done their BTech and are doing a job with higher package, and who have done their MBA with lower package. But do a masters in the meanwhile, upskill yourself, upgrade yourself, because the technology is changing day by day, right? So organization needs a change. Tomorrow organization needs a change. So be a change for yourself and be a change for organization. Yeah.
Thank you.
Go ahead. Thanks a lot, Shankar, Jagruti, and Amol, for taking out that time in sharing your thoughts. I hope we were helpful in providing some insights into this important matter to all of you. Have a great day.
Have a great day.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.